You're watching Rules of the Game on Rider Nation Station, brought to you by Minster Bank, Plus One Professionals, Albert Sporting Goods, American Legion Post 323, Fowler's TV, Eagles Lodge 767, Speckman Automotive, Auglaze Audiology, Rabel's Auto Service, American Manufacturing Solutions, VFW 9289, Auglaze Equipment Rental, Guarneri's Pizzeria, Vogel's Bake Shop, Schaff Auto Sales, Miller Funeral Homes, and Speed's Chiropractic and Wellness Center.
Hello and welcome to Rules of the Game with Mark Cisco. I'm your host, Zach Farrell, and we try to bring you calls every week from official Mark Cisco.
Zach,
thanks for coming tonight, Mark.
Always a pleasure.
Well, this week, unfortunately, the Rough Riders had a tough loss against OG, but there were some clips that we were able to pull from that game that we can talk about here in a second. So,
Good deal.
Was there anything in the high school officiating bulletins or anything like that this week?
I haven't seen the bulletin yet for this week, but last week there's always some clips, or not some clips, some verbiage about mechanics and things of that nature that comes out that we could, across the state, there's been issues or improvements that could be made, things of that nature. And it's nothing major. It's just generally reminders on what needs to be done at certain spots, and you know, we go over that each week.
So a constant need for
always.
Ability to improve all the time, as always.
I think I played for a guy at one time that says, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. You never stay the same. So
sounds like a Skip Bachman quote.
That
maybe.
Sure sounds like him.
All right.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
Well, we're going to go ahead and jump right into the clips then. We have this first clip early on in the game. OG, after scoring their first touchdown, I believe, had a kick that went out of bounds. So I just thought maybe we'd talk about the rule on that. You can see it just went out of bounds right there around the 25-yard line.
Yeah. Kick out of bounds, untouched by R, the receivers. The receiving team has a choice as to penalties. Obviously, one of them is to take the ball where it went out of bounds, not something you normally do. Free kick like that out of bounds, you can place the ball 25 yards in advance of where the ball was kicked, which places it at the receiving team's 35-yard line. Or you can go back to the previous spot, move back 5 yards, and have them replay the down, or in this case, re-kick the ball.
And I thought that was interesting because St. Mary's actually did choose to make them re-kick.
Okay.
So it's usually, I think you typically see the team take the ball at the 35-yard line.
Typically you do, but once in a while maybe the coaches see something that, maybe he'll kick it out of bounds again, and pretty soon maybe you get the ball to 50. Who knows?
I think St. Mary's has always prided itself on that double wall kick return.
Sure.
And I know it's always been a big Coach Fry, whether it be Doug or Bo. I think it's always been a point of pride. So I'm not surprised that they're trying to get that kick return going, and they probably wanted another shot at it.
Could very well be. Maybe they figure they'll bring it out past the 35 and gain from it. Sure.
So we're going to look at the next clip. That was I think probably a false start on St. Mary's that wasn't called. There's actually two players, I think. You can see the running back start to lean and the receiver in the bottom of your screen start to lean.
Let's take a look again if we can. Yeah, the running back's leaning. That's probably, you could probably tag that as a false start. I believe the receiver down out wide here probably was early.
Yeah.
And that would be a false start. The running back, you could probably let that go and maybe flag that for illegal motion, in which case it would probably come back. The false start, you're going to penalize right away.
Okay.
So, yep.
Yeah, I remember seeing that on the field early on, and was a little surprised it wasn't called, but it was kind of a bang-bang, and it's early
exactly,
on in the game.
And if the official thought that was a bang-bang, then we're going to let it go.
Well, this next play was a holding call on Ottawa Glandorf, and just was curious on your thoughts on that.
All right, let's take a look.
It's actually the receiver there at the at the bottom of your screen.
Oh, he's got him. Yeah, he's got him. He didn't let him go.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to let them chicken fight, what we call chicken fight out there a little bit, and they engage because you got both of them going at one another who's doing what. But as soon as they're running, you can see he had him by the shoulder there, and that was a pretty easy call.
Yeah, we always talk about keeping the hands in, because once whoever's running with the ball gets beyond that, then it becomes much more obvious that you're holding the person
Much
in
more
place.
obvious, yeah. Correct.
We're going to look at this next play. This was unfortunately a fumble by the St. Mary's quarterback, and I think it's pretty obviously a fumble, but this kind of brought my question up as to the Tom Brady rule, as people call it. Is that applicable in high school with the hand moving forward or the arm moving forward?
It is. It very much is. I mean, in this play, you're right, Zach. It's pretty obvious. He starts to raise the hand up, and then he just drops it. What you get into in situations such as the passer back there is if the arm is coming forward and the ball, he loses the grip or he's hit or wherever, the ball's coming forward and drops to the ground, no matter where it drops, behind or in front, it's considered an incomplete pass at that point. So you got to make a distinction at some point. They're back there and they start to move it forward. And it's a tough call sometimes.
Right.
I mean, the referee's got to be focused on the players coming in and the hand and everything else, and they tell us, when in doubt, it's an incomplete pass.
Okay.
Not a fumble.
So technically, you could still probably have a roughing the passer. Even can you have that on an incomplete
Not on
pass?
a play like that, because he doesn't become technically a passer until he lets go of the football.
Okay.
Up to that point, he's just a runner.
Okay.
Yes. Is that technical? It is, but you need a dividing line somewhere, or else you leave it up to the discretion of the officials. Oh, was he in the act of passing? Or that's not an issue there. As soon as he lets go, he becomes a passer at that point.
And we make that dividing line basically probably with the arm moving forward then.
Well, the arm moving forward is fine, but if he moves forward, consider if he's moving it forward and he decides not to let go of it and gets hit, he's just a runner.
Right.
Okay, so
until the ball comes out, it's not a
until the ball
pass.
is released, he is considered a runner at that point.
Okay.
And he's free game.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, this next play was a safety that St. Mary's was able to rack up on OG. Quick handoff to the running back, and no real issues, I guess, with that call. But what are the officials looking for? Are they just looking for forward momentum? And
Well, yeah, we do. To be honest, we do everything we can to not have to call a safety.
Okay.
And that sounds terrible, but it's really not, because you don't want to give. On one hand, you don't want to give the defense the defense a cheap 2 points. Now, they deserve it. There's not a doubt about it.
Right.
But you're going to try to give that runner every opportunity of forward progress that you can. And sometimes you can't, and it's a safety. So we got wing guys moving back to the line or to the goal line at the snap. So they've got the best look right down the goal line. And if he doesn't get out with the ball, then, or if he's tackled and he lands on the goal line, the ball's on the goal line, it's a safety.
Right.
The ball's got to be completely out to be considered not a safety.
If any part of that ball is touching the goal line.
Touching any part of the goal line, it's going to be considered a safety at that point.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then a follow-up to that is our next clip is the actual kick that was done after the safety.
Okay.
I think you and I talked about this maybe earlier in the year. But
free kick, yeah.
This one was a free kick. They also have the ability to punt, though. Is that correct?
They can, and they have to be within 1 yard of the 20 there when the ball hits the foot, so to speak.
So it's a kick from the 20-yard line.
Basically, yes, it's from the 20, unless it's been moved by penalty or something along those lines. And a lot of times you see the kids punt it,
right?
And obviously you can put it on the tee and kick it from there as well.
Did you also tell me you could drop kick it? Is that
you could?
Okay.
He could at that point. You never see that in this situation. And once in a while on extra points you may see a kid that drop kicks it just because they want to give it a shot.
Right, sure.
So it's possible, but you don't see it very often.
And I don't know I guess it's been a while since I've seen a St. Mary's get a safety. I'm not sure if we would free kick it or punt it, but I don't think we drop kick it. But
be careful of the terminology, because it is a free kick.
Oh, okay.
Whether you place kick it or punt the football.
Sure.
Sorry, that's the referee and the definitions in me.
I can understand that words are important. I know that,
and I think you know that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
Well, this next play was an interesting. I thought it was an interesting callback to a discussion that we had earlier in the season regarding the orange ball markers. You can see the beanbag. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I just thought that maybe fans watching that may have thought that was a penalty.
Well,
but that's actually a ball marker. That's
what he threw out there looked like a beanbag.
Yes.
Up until this year, we used blue ones, and prior to that, there were white ones. And in the college game, they will use black ones. So the equipment manufacturers love the federation and the college guys, but they went this year and says, look, you got your choice. You can use blue ones or orange ones, but for playoffs, you will be using orange ones. And then the following season, in 2022, you will be wearing orange ones. And that came about mainly because those are easier to see.
Yeah.
Especially on a dark night, dark fields or whatever, wet, whatever, you throw that blue beanbag, they're tough to find.
Yeah.
And white ones were the same way, especially if they landed on a yard line someplace.
Well,
so I welcome it, but sometimes it looks like there's a flag being thrown.
Yeah,
yes.
it's definitely easier to see, but I've definitely noticed this year, I think, oh, there's a penalty. Oh, there's a penalty. Oh, nope, it was just marking
just the mean
spot.
bag. And he's required to throw that bag at the spot of the end of the kick.
Okay.
So where the receiver possessed it, that bag should be down in case we need it for penalty administration during the play.
To mark where it's caught.
In the kick, yep.
All right, well, this next next play that we had was a long pass play by St. Mary's, a pretty nice blocking up front. Gave Gavin Reinecke time to find a wide open Tanner Howell down the field, and then Tanner kind of did the rest on his own, cut across the field. And at the very end here, towards the end zone, he's tackled and it kind of fumbles out. It was ruled a touchdown that he broke the plane on the field. Just wondered your thoughts on that and what they're looking for.
As soon the back judge looked like he had good position at the end of the play. So on the goal line, he's standing right there. He's still, he's looking, and as soon as Tanner reached the ball out and it touched the front part of the goal line, it's like a pane of glass right there. It's a touchdown. Now all the back judge had to do is decide, was the ball coming out before he broke the plane, so to speak, or did he have it and then the ball came out? Because if the ground caused the ball to come loose, then definitely you have nothing.
That was my next
down.
question. Even if that was not on the goal line, if that would have been just anyone on the field, it kind of looked to me like the ball caused that, the ground caused that fumble.
Yeah, and there's the general rule is the ground can't cause a fumble. That's true, because by the time the elbow hits or whatever, he's down before the ball comes out.
Sure.
So that was probably a great call by the back judge right there.
Great call, no either way probably.
Right.
Then. Okay. Well, this next call was interesting. It was a personal foul, and I think they called it for horse collar tackle.
Okay. Well, let's.
So this was a long, very nice pass and catch by OG, and they called it on the St. Mary's guy kind of out of bounds, kind of ripping him down by the horse collar.
Okay, that's a little tough to see. Let's just see.
And we do have another angle of it too that may work a little better, but from sort of the end zone.
All right. Well, let's maybe we get a better look at it here.
At first, I thought maybe it was a late hit because he was sort of out of bounds, and it was kind of an extra jerk but
that could possibly be.
It's kind of more inbounds though.
Did they give the horse collar signal? Do you recall?
I don't recall. I was there at the game and I watched it, and I know on the field I thought it was called for horse collar because nothing else made sense. That
crew, I know who that crew is, and they're generally pretty good overall. It could have been just that little extra throwing down at the end, and maybe it was just a plain, what I consider garden variety personal foul,
right?
Rather than the added horse collar, because that would be. It didn't look like he had him. Because he took him and threw him down, so to speak. So I'll bet it wasn't a horse collar. I'll bet it was just basically a UNR, unnecessary roughness, so to speak, at the end of the play.
Okay.
That's probably what it was.
Okay.
Correct or not? I don't know. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
It looks like it could be. So we'll say it was.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was a little I know watching it in the real time, it was a little hard to figure out what they were doing. So
sure.
This next play from OG was a holding call in the backfield. And you can kind of see the umpire right there throw it out. I think it was one of the offensive linemen was sort of holding onto the foot of one of the defensive linemen.
Oh, okay. Well, that's kind of
see him on the ground right there.
Yeah. He probably had him hooked up right there, and those are easy to see.
And we got another angle of it because at first when I watched it, I couldn't tell where the flag came from, and then I had to watch the other angle and see that it came
and that umpire is
from the
very
umpire.
good in that game. He's had multiple state finals, and so he knows exactly what he's looking for there. Let's see if we can catch it.
And this is a great
here.
view because you can see him kind of watch it.
Oh, he had him around the waist
early,
and that was enough for him to make the call. Sure.
Excellent, because it was a little tougher, I think, everybody in real time to see. So it's nice to be able to go back and watch it on film there.
Right.
This was late in the game. St. Mary's was down a couple touchdowns and needed an onside kick.
Okay.
I just thought we could talk about the rules. I think OG did a great job of stepping up.
Can you freeze that, technical wizard? Or run that back to the start. Can you freeze that right there? Okay, so on an onside kick, well, any kick for that matter, a free kick like this, number one, you have to have at least 4 players on either side of the football when the ball is kicked.
Okay.
And you can see the St. Mary's, there's 4 of them on this side. You can barely see the one on the clear to the left of the screen, but he's there. And so you've got 4 here, and you've got at least 4 on the other side. No one can be back behind the 35-yard line, cannot be on it or behind it, other than the kicker. Okay? So everybody's good here. And he's just going to approach it, and so long as he doesn't make a pop-up kick. And a pop-up kick basically is a ball that's driven straight into the ground and then rises what the rule book calls an appreciable height. What is that? Whatever that was. Obviously, on a grass field like this, it's probably not going to go very high. On an artificial turf, it might. But this kick is perfectly legal. It's got to go 10 yards and touch the ground before the kicking team can legally touch and keep the football.
Right. And what we saw there is it went about 7 or 8 yards, and OG stepped across and grabbed it.
And grabbed it. So what can happen here is the kicking team cannot block anybody from the receiving team until the ball has at least touched the ground and went to 10 yards. And there was no illegal blocks or anything along those lines. That doesn't mean that the kicking team players can't protect themselves if a receiver comes up to make a block for some odd reason.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's interesting. I didn't know that rule. So the kicker cannot intentionally try to kick it straight down and create a hop.
Drive it into the ground to make it come up in a what looks like a pooch kick type of thing.
Okay.
And they tell us, look, anytime you have a kick like that goes down and comes up that's maybe 1.5 or 2 times higher than the players, maybe 12 feet or 10 feet or whatever, you've probably got a potential foul for an illegal kick right there.
So it's okay to skip it and try to get a pop-up like that.
Yeah, ding, ding,
but
and
just
then it goes.
It can't be directly off of the tee.
Correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
This next play I thought maybe had some pass interference, but it wasn't called. And that, fortunately, it wasn't called on St. Mary's, but you can see it here, kind of.
Little hand fighting there going on between the two of them.
Pushing in the end zone.
And they're both kind of doing the same type of thing. The St. Mary's receiver the defender does a good job looking back for the football. Mm-hmm. Now, if he had not been looking for the football there, and you got some pushing going on, there could have drawn a foul right there. But they're both looking. And a lot of people don't understand that once the ball's in the air, both receiver and defender have a right to the football.
Right.
They can't impede each other, but each one of them has a right to the ball. So in high school football, defensive pass interference is probably called more often than it should be, truthfully.
Because they all have a right to the ball.
They have a right to the ball, and there's that chicken fight and stuff going on, what we call, who are you going to pin it on, one or both?
Right.
You just let that go and away you go. And there was really no, he didn't hold his arms down or anything along those lines. So it was probably a good no call at that point.
And juxtapose that with pass interference that was called late in the game against OG, then on a St. Mary's pass, right down at the bottom of your screen here.
That's okay. I mean, I think and we got the advantage of looking at it in basically over and over again. Early contact could have only been the call there. And was there early contact? I don't know.
Slightly.
That's
maybe.
kind of bang bang in my eyes. I mean, the official saw something different, and maybe he got a hand around and held off the receiver's hand, possibly. But if that's early contact, that's probably best let go right there.
Okay. Well, that's. I thought those were 2 nice calls to end on pass interference, maybe on both sides. So. I want to thank all of our sponsors again for Rider Nation Station bringing it to us every week. We're going to have the St. Mary's and Van Wert game shortly after the premiere of this show on Friday night, and we're excited to be back home and watching the Rough Riders take on Van Wert Cougars. So
good luck,
Mark. Thanks again for joining
me.
Always
a pleasure, Zach.
And we'll see everybody again next week.
You're watching Rules of the Game on Rider Nation Station, brought to you by Minster Bank, Plus One Professionals, Albert Sporting Goods, American Legion Post 323, Fowler's TV, Eagles Lodge 767, Speckman Automotive, Auglai's Audiology, Rabel's Auto Service, American Manufacturing Solutions, VFW 9289, Auglai's Equipment Rental, Guarneri's Pizzeria, Vogel's Bake Shop, Schaff Auto Sales, Miller Funeral Homes, and Speed's Chiropractic and Wellness Center. Thanks for watching another episode of Rider Nation Station. Help us help you by subscribing on YouTube or following us on Facebook.